For example, let's say I have a column. So let's say 300 comma 300, and I have a tag with the column. Let's say I give the type parameter of this particular column as C1. So I write a text with it, and let's say I write the tag as C1. So, or let's say if I have to give some different parameters, or the mark of the, not the type mark, but the mark of the column as, let's say, 01, and I write the text, and then I create it as a block. So let's say now what will happen if I create this as a block. So if I say B and say column, and column size is 300 by 300. Now let's say I pick a point, and let's say this is a point, and select object. So it will be converted to a block. Now if I insert this particular column, let's say column 300 into 300, and put it into my project file. So I insert various options of it, let's say here, and now if I want to change this text particularly in this block, so I cannot do it. For that I have to go to the block editor and go and select the text. So if I change it to 02, what will happen? All the blocks will be having the same changes. So this problem is identified and is rectified by the attributes option. Now see what attributes will do. So now let's see what attribute will help me in the block. Now I have a column, and let's say this column is I create a column 300 into 450. So I'm just giving you an example of the column. There are various examples that I will tell you about attributes, how they work, and what is the importance of attributes in a project. So attributes by definition are text which are defined inside a block, so that the text can be edited individually in the block. So what is the individual editing? We will look into it. So let's say we have a column over here, and let's say we create it as a block, and so I take the base point over here, and so before creating the column, the way I look into it, the attributes are written prior to the creation of the block. So you should not create the block first. First of all, you have to write the attributes. So attributes are written same way as the text is written, but the command is different. Now let's see what is the command. So we have the attribute. So the definition of the attribute starts understanding attributes. So attributes are text that are defined inside a block, so that it can be edited in place inside the drawing. So we'll give you an example. So to define an attribute, we have the command called attribute definition, or from the ribbon, you have the insert tab, go to the block definition panel, and then define attributes are there. So now let's go to the drawing. So here we are. So I go to the attribute definition. So I can basically get the dialog box of attribute definition by typing @def, ATTDEF, or so we go to the insert option, and here we have the block definition, and there is an option called in the block definition panel we have the define attributes. So by doing so, the attribute definition dialog box opens. Now here we have got in the left hand side of this dialog box, there is a mode, which is an invisible, constant, verify, preset, lock, position, multiple, and then there is a tag, prompt, and default. So then you have the text settings. Now let's say the tag. For this column, I want to have some parameters which should be there inside the block, which I will change from time to time. So let's say the first is the tag is the mark. So I can write over here, prompt is just like a question. What is the mark of the column? So that, and when it will be used, I will tell you. And default value, let's say, if you do not edit it, it is 01. And then you basically lock the position. You can lock the position, or you can go with the verify option. So what is the verify option we will see, but if you don't select anything, let it be like this, the default position. And in the text setting, select let's say you can select a left alignment or in the center, because I would prefer it would be a center, and the text style. So I have this text style over here. So the text height, you can choose a text height, or you can say 100 is the text height, or you can define it here in the screen. What would be the text height? Let's say this is the text height. It has taken it by default, and the rotation active. So the moment you press OK, so this tag is placed here. So because if I click it, it is aligned center. So let's move this and place it somewhere here. So here also you can reduce the size. Let's say it is 58. So select it, and in the properties you can change the size. Let's say I can change the size to 45. Now again at def, so here I can align below the previous attribute definition. So now after mark, let's say the other would be something like the for example, I would go for the strength. So this is another attribute that I want to give. It is M25, M30, M45. What is the strength? So let's say I would say that what is the compressive, what is the strength. So there are different kind of parameters that you can assign with the block. So by default you can say M25, and then it would be so if you say OK, and then you can always change the so this is the tag. So this tag will become the value the moment you convert it to block. So then you can have more tags like this, but let us see what happens when you create a block. Now let's say if I create it as a block as, let's say I name it as column 300 into let's say 450, and pick a point, because that is a base point, and then say select the object. I select with the attribute, and then I would go for OK. So now if I insert the block right now, so insert option. So now what will happen? The moment I insert it, you can see that there is a dialog box that is open. So after insertion, it will say what is the strength and what is the mark. So here the prompt comes into the practice. Let's say I have a mark called 101. So now if I have, let's say I copy this, and I have this, for example, I have several copies of this column, and I want to have different marks, or probably we can have different strength, but let's say I have different marks over here. So coming back, so let's say if I want to change the attribute over here, so what I would give the command is attribute edit. So select the block that you want to edit, and then you can give the value. Let's say the mark will change 102. Similarly, you can use the attribute edit over here, and you can click into it and give a different marking. So this way you can basically change the attributes to different blocks while you're working. Now let us see what attribute can be given to a bed. So I have this bed that I want to create a block. So I have some text data over here. Now for attributes are not only for the display with the blocks, but also for creating bill of quantity. So we will see how attributes can also help us in counting the number of elements in the project. For example, in this particular process, what I am going to explain you, I'm going to create a bed which will be having some attributes. We'll explain what attribute is, how to edit the attributes, and then how we can control the display of the attributes in a block. And then we will see how we can extract the data for BOQ purposes, or we can extract the data to the Excel sheet. So this is a process for creating BOQ and also for viewing purpose. So let's see how it works. Now this is a bed, let's say a bed. So a bed is manufactured by a company, and there is some sample data over here, like the reference of the bed, or the product group, or the width, depth, height, main material, secondary material, design, and manufactured. So there are certain tags that has to be attached to it, and then we will be extracting this data for the BOQ purposes. This bed can be inserted and in many places in the project. So every bed will be having some common data, or it can have some variable data. And here also I will add the cost also of the bed, or there can be different attributes that can be defined while inserting a bed. So let's start with attribute definition. So ATTDEF. So then here, first of all, let's see what are the various options available. For example, first is the tag. So tag would be, for example, if I want to have this attribute unique ref. So I name this tag as unique references. So I cannot have a space in the attribute. So attribute should be written in a single line with dash or some kind of character separating, but a space cannot be there. So unique ref is the tag. Prompt is basically what is the reference, what is the unique number. So I write the prompt, and default value, let's say I have 2118. Now this unique reference can be, let's say, for example, if I have got 10 beds inserted in a project, every bed will be having a unique reference. So as such, it cannot be a constant. First of all, when I insert it, it will be having a default value. So I have the preset, and the position is locked. So locks the location of the attribute within the block references. So you cannot move it at this moment. And then the verify option says that it will verify before inserting in the block. So I'm not using the verify option right now. So here, and then the justification. So I want to have the justification left right now, and text height. Probably I want to have the height, let's say I can this much height. So it gives you, let's say 90, or I say 60, and the rotation is 0. Insertion point I want to specify on the screen. So I specify so I'm writing the all the attributes below the object. Now, next is basically the brand. So let's say if I want to write the attribute, this is a one-time task with the block. So while you're creating the block, before creating the block, if you want to attach the specification with the block so that it can be extracted in the Excel sheet, or it can be extracted in the for the BOQ purposes, it is recommended that the attribute should be written first. Then the tag. So let's say I have the brand as a tag, and prompt is, so size of the bed might be a constant, but it can have different brands, like different companies, name of different brands can be there. So let's say brands prompt. What is the brand? So here I name the brand as by default it is Velis, or then I can say align below the previous attribute. So I will also have the same options here and say OK. And then next is attribute at def. So next is the attribute for the family, product family. What is the product family? So this is another attribute which is associated with this furniture. What is the purpose? What is the product family in the brand? So I would like to have this as a constant. So it is always a sleeping, let's say. So I don't want to change. So if it is constant, so you see the prompt is now locked. So then you can have it aligned below it. So you cannot change this value in the block. So this is a constant. That means when you are doing an attribute edit in the block, you cannot change the value. So the value will remain the same. Then you have the product group. Obviously, it will also remain constant. Let's say I have the product group. So it's beds. So I'm aligning it. Then I have the height, width, depth. Let me define it very quickly. So I can have different heights. What is the height? So I can basically have the constant option removed. So what is the height? So I go for, let's say the height is by default I give the height as, let's say 425 millimeters, and align it. Similarly, I can have the width. So here we have the width. So the default value of the width is 1900 mm. Attribute def. So go with the width. What is the width? And then let's say I go with the default value is 1900 mm. Align it. And then you will have the depth. Now here only the tags are visible, but the moment you create a block, the values will be there when you insert it. So then the depth is 2200, let's say. So I go with the depth, attribute definition. So depth, and I prompt it over here. What is the, so this is a dimension measurements. So I say 2200. I can change the depth if it is not constant. So here so now I have not used that align below. So now something that like for example I want to add the cost over here, which can vary, and I don't want to display this along, so I want to make it invisible. So I say what is the cost. So I don't want to display it in my drawing, I want to keep it invisible, but I want it to get extracted. So here in the tag I will say the price, okay, and prompt would be what is the price, and the default value is, let's say 50,000 INR, and line it. And then I want to have some more like the manufactured in at def. So I want to put it invisible, manufactured, place of manufacturing, and I can have n number of attributes. So this is also some of the common, let's say I name it at Switzerland, and align it. So here with this tag may not contain spaces, so I have to remove the space. So I have this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 attributes I'm having with this particular block, and some of them are invisible. So I create a block and I name it as BED101, bed1. Pick point, so I will pick this point and select the object. So when I'm creating a block, I have to also select the attributes along with the block elements and press enter. Now and say okay. So now let's say I have a plan, and here I will be inserting the bed. Let's say here I have, and you would see that while I am inserting the bed, the cost is not visible and it comes up with some attribute. Let's say I insert 2 3 4 5 beds over here. So 5 beds can be at different location, but for demonstration I am putting it, and I want to change the unique code. Let's say attribute edit. So I'm changing some values, like for example I'm changing the unique code as 2001, and probably the cost I'm changing it 70,000 INR, which is not visible, but it will be available while I'm extracting the data. And place of manufacturing, that's fine. So I change it, and similarly now you can see the changes there. Attribute edit. So select the block reference. So I want to name it as number it as 2002, and I want to keep other factors attribute same, and do it. So that you can try with different kind of attributes while you are practicing. 2003, attribute edit 2004. So these are all unique numbers. Now 2005. Now this is something that you can see that the attributes can be changed in the block. So this is one of the good advantages of attributes. Now I want to have the two commands. One is the editing the attributes and also controlling the display of the attributes. Now first of all, I go with a command called Batman. Is block attribute manager. So here I have the selection bed 1. Now here you can see that there are different settings and like the tag. So if you want to let's say there are different settings over here. Here you can change, let's say if you want to edit the tag like unique reference, the default value prompt, you can do it from here itself. Apart from that, what you can do, if you want to remove a tag, you can remove it or go to the settings and display in the list. So attribute settings, so justification layer not required, emphasis duplicate tags. So if you want to edit the tag, like for example unique reference, you want to edit, for example if you want to have edit the justification or the height, or let's say the properties, like if you want to move it on different layers, if you want to give a different color to it. So now you can see that the color changes. So in the block attribute manager, you can select the block, let's say that you want to, let's say for here it will, the name will be here, and then you can edit the tags, prompts, default values and different modes and make it annotative or non-annotative. So this is the block attribute manager. So then you have the modes like the constant mode or the preset mode, invisible mode, it is given over here. So I think manufacturing and IPLS price, these modes are, if you want to edit it, if you want to make it visible, so you can remove the invisibility and the mode can be visible. IPL now it becomes a preset mode. So these are constant. CPL is the constant mode, and say if I want to again hide the price, I can edit it and make it invisible. So here we are, we have learned about how we can edit the tags, the prompt values and other thing, right? So now to edit the attribute, so here you have the edit attribute. So here the constant attribute will not be displayed, but the invisible attribute will be displayed. Now if you want to switch off the attribute, so you say off, and then if you want to put it on, you say on. Now here you see that while putting on and off, the invisible attribute is also visible. But if you want to have it in the normal mode, that means invisible will remain invisible, invisible attributes will not be displayed. So this is the controlling the display of the attribute and the block attribute manager. Now comes the extracting data. You want to extract the data for the BOQ purpose. So here comes the data extraction. So here, so this is the extract data, which is in the insert tab. So you click on the extract data. So here we have an option called create a new data extraction. So go to next. So go to the Skill-Lync data desktop. You have the Skill-Lync, and here you have the week. Let's say I want to put it in the week 8, and I want to name this txt file as bill bed information and save it. So now you can see that there are two options: data sources, select objects in the current drawing, or include current drawing. So if I select object in the current drawing, so current drawing is the, you can see the path of the current drawing where to save. So you can select the objects that you want to include. So I select all the 5 blocks. But if I'm going with the drawing sheet set, So it is, if you add more blocks, it will be updated in the table, but here only selected objects data will be shown. So if I select object and then I go for the settings, now you can see that extract setting, extract objects from the block, don't need the xref, all objects in the drawing, whether it is in the model space or paper space. So go with the default setting, go to next. Now here you have to select what you want to display. So I don't want to display all object types, so I want to display blocks with attributes only. So this is the block and the type is block, the display name. Next. Here now in the table that you want to extract is there are different categories of information that is inside the block properties. So what you want to select, so here from here I want to check out except the attribute. I am going to deselect all. So these are the attributes that I want to extract, and then go to the next, and then you can see the full preview of it. So now after extracting, go to next. Now it will be asking you insert data extraction table into the drawing or output data to external Excel file. So let's say I will go for both of them, but for first I would like to have both of them, like extraction table into the drawing as well as the output should be in an Excel file. Next. Now this is the table, data extraction table. There are different styles. So let's say manual setup table and use property names and so and so. So now let's say this is the default setting. Go to the next, finish it off, and just put the table, extract it over here. Now if you want to increase the size of it, so you can go with the scale option and let's say 3 times, or let's say 2 times. So now the table is, now you can see that every bed is unique, and you have this brand over here, Willis, and you have this different numbers like the unique references over here. So if you change anything, let's say if I change the cost of this particular attribute, so let's say I change the cost to, let's say, 1 lakh. Okay, now this has to be changed. So to change this, select the table, go to the update table data link. Now you can see the cost is changed. So this is way you can do. The other thing is that you have extracted the data into an external link file. Now let's see where you have extracted. So I want to see the yes, go to the next. So select the object. I'm going to extract, see the Excel sheet. So go to the next and display blocks with attribute only, display blocks only. Okay, display all object types. So I think we haven't selected the, go back. So next, select object. So I want to select the, I want to select this option, the blocks. Go to the next and display blocks with attribute only. So okay, select the bed and go to next, and here I will only go with the attribute, and I will select all the attributes here that I wanted in my. Now here you have this option when you go output data. Now it is I want to save it in my folder, let's say here in the week 7, and I want to name it as BOQ bed. Save. So the data is now extracted into the Excel sheet. Data link has changed. Great. So if you want to see that Excel sheet, open the Excel sheet, file, open. So now you can see the Excel file that we have linked is now seen over here. All the data are visible, and as such the attribute data has been export it to Excel sheet. It is now here. This concludes the session of attributes and blocks. And in the next session, we will also be taking some of the examples of blocks. I'll be doing the XREF in the next session, but there I will be also talking about W blocks, the right blocks. What are right blocks and how they are different from XREF. So I will take the session of XREF, external reference, and then I will talk about the W block, and then we will be doing hatching. So thank you, and see you in the session 9.